Alright, boys and buddy. Alright, so today we're back for some more Ages of Conflict. Alright, so today's scenario is going to be what if a second Cold War happened in the modern day. Alright, so we're about to map, and by the way, we're actually doing Age of Conflict this time. If you guys remember an old game we used to do, Age of 3, well, that game got banned, so I'm not doing this game. Alright, now this game's a lot more different because you can paint whatever feature you want. You have to use promises. Alright, anyway, so if you guys remember the first Cold War, it was between the Soviet Union and the USA, also / Warsaw Pact versus NATO. Alright, now fortunately, the NATO won, so that made NATO expand a little bit more. And the Warsaw and Soviet Union lost. Alright. So, that's basically between the Soviet Union and the USA. And guys, let's start with today's scenario. So, the scenario's gonna start over here in the Americas as the USA. We have heard apparently about some talking in the United States about Cuba. Alright. Now we're also gonna factor in about how USA captured Maduro and also Middle Eastern War. Alright, we're going to account for all that today. And yeah, so over here, the United States is going to declare war on Cuba. Alright, so they're going to declare on Cuba. And after the declaration of war on Cuba, because we have been hearing some talks about Cuba and the government, the United States is going to send the military down here into USA. Alright. After this, they're going to move in with troops, and eventually we're going to make a few landings all across. Okay, eventually after this, they're going to make one up here in Havana. And eventually they're going to capture Havana, and they're going to move through across Cuba, as Cuba now surrenders over to the United States. And right here, Cuba is now going to become a puppet state of the United States. Immediately after that war, Russia and China saw that war, and they're going to meet in Ulaanbaatar of Mongolia to kind of discuss plans to form a new alliance. Okay, eventually, after some time, they're going to succeed as they now form a new alliance, and this new alliance is called the Anti-Western Bloc. Alright. So immediately after this, Russia and China are going to create the alliance, and they are going to add members into their alliance. As the first one's going to be North Korea, then after this we've got Iran, Belarus, and finally Nicaragua. Immediately after this, Russia is going to do one of their own things, as over here in the east, Russia is going to full-scale invade Ukraine, alright, with the help of their new allies. So immediately after this, Russia is going to call all their allies, and they're now going to declare war on Ukraine. Alright, now again, the difference is between the new Russian alliance, they haven't really accounted for Article 5, alright, where, attack one, attack all. They don't really account for that. So over here, they're all going to join, obviously Belarus is going to join, yeah. So immediately after this, they're going to full-scale invade Ukraine. And eventually, they're going to do real well as they move in from all sides. They capture Kyiv, they capture Odessa, and once they move west over here, they're going to capture Lviv. Alright, eventually after this, Ukraine's going to surrender, and we got a peace treaty being upheld over here, where Ukraine loses access to the east. Alright, all of these over here is going to become a part of Russia. And right here, Ukraine's going to be made into a puppet state of the Russians. NATO is going to see that, and they are going to be very mad. So they're going to add Moldova to their alliance. But also, they're going to meet in Brussels, and they're going to discuss about redoing the constitutions, and they're now going to officially make NATO, officially going to decide to make NATO into a global alliance. Alright, officially making NATO into a global alliance, and this is known as a way of showing that we're not messing around. So yeah, with that, they're going to become a global alliance, and we actually got them renaming their alliance as well to the Western Defense Organization. All right, the Western Defense Organization, and this new they're going to rename it into the Western Defense Organization. Basically having any countries who want to support the West will join the alliance. All right. So immediately after this, Australia is going to be joining the alliance. It's going to be the first country to join in the alliance that's outside of the North Atlantic. Secondly, New Zealand, Israel, and finally Azerbaijan. Immediately after this, the Russia and China are going to counteract this, as Russia now pressures Kazakhstan to join in the alliance. So they're going to use a bit of reluctancy, all that, and they're going to pressure Kazakhstan to join the alliance, which Kazakhstan has no choice, as they're going to accept. All right. They're also going to include partner states, and this is going to be kind of a way of so they're going to include partner states, which are going to be countries who are not going to be fully active with the alliance, so not fully with it, but are more aligned with it. So Mongolia is going to immediately join that, as they now immediately apply to become a partner state, as they're more aligned with Russia and China. All right. Secondly, Pakistan will also be invited to join it. Yemen will join it. Iraq will join it. And finally, Serbia. The alliance is going to expand again in the main alliance, as countries who are more aligned with China will join in the alliance. So that includes Laos, then Cambodia, and Kyrgyzstan. All right. The Western Defense Organization will also do the same, as they're also going to do their own partner program. All right, the countries join that is, first one is Austria. Secondly is Kosovo, Georgia, and finally Jordan. We also got, and it's now moving over here to the Middle East, as we got an event happening with another proxy conflict, right? As up here in Russia, Russia adopts a as Russia goes over to Assad, and they're going to say to Iran, shall we reinstall it? Well, let's reinstall Assad as the Syrian government. And over here, Iran will accept. So Russia will go to Assad, and they'll grab Assad with Russian military. They'll come down here, and they'll go through the Caspian Sea into Iran, and they're gonna go to Iraq, and they're gonna ask Iraq if they can go through territory to Syria, and Iraq's gonna accept. So with that, they're gonna move into Syria, and officially we've got the Russians gearing up for a new war at the Iraq and Syrian border. As over here, they declare war on Syria. After the declaration of war, Russia is going to move their military into Syria, and right here, they're going to pose a major threat for Syria. As over here, Russia's military is going to move like light speed, moving into Syria. Okay, eventually after this, they're going to move over here and capture the coast, and eventually Syria is going to be screwed, as the Russians now move their military into the rest of Syria, and right over here, we've got the surrender of Syria. Alright. And immediately after this, Syria is going to be joining the anti-Western bloc. And over here, Palestine and Lebanon will join in the partner program of the anti-Western bloc. And over here, NATO's partnership program is going to expand, as Saudi Arabia is going to join it. And next will be the United Arab Emirates. Moving over here into Africa, we have got a civil war, another proxy conflict taking place over here in Africa. As over here in the nation of Sudan, as right here, a rebellion is going to be funded in Syria, known as Darfur. Immediately after this, they're going to now fight against Sudan, as now they're going to push into a high ground right here, as now they declare war on Sudan. Alright. Eventually after this, South Sudan is going to be asked by NATO to join the alliance as a partner, and eventually after this, South Sudan is going to join the war on the side of the Sudanese rebellion, and they're going to join on as a partner state, as now it's going to be used as a staging ground to help out this rebellion right here. Eventually after this, they're going to move their military, and eventually the Darfur military is going to be really good as they now reach the capital of Sudan. Alright, eventually after this, they're going to reach the capital of Sudan. Alright. Immediately after this, the Russians and the Chinese are going to reveal to the plan as now South Sudan, as what the Western Defense Organization didn't account for, was that South Sudan is also an unstable country. So with that, a rebellion is going to activate in their country, and officially the South Sudan is going to be fighting against their own rebellion right here. And right here, they're going to become very powerful as now their goal is to basically weaken the alliance. South Sudan will be making some pushback still, but obviously it's going to be very short as South Sudan's military is very bad. Alright. Immediately after that war happens, Sudan's going to now focus as now they repel Darfur out of their territory, and they're going to start a major pushback over here against Darfur. As now, Sudanese rebellion. I'm not going to call it Darfur, it's a stupid name. So yeah, over here, Sudan's now going to focus as they now push back the Western Sudanese rebellion. And right here, they're going to gain ground as now they move towards capturing the capital. And it's going to be very easy for them as South Sudan is going to be fighting in a civil war. Alright. In the meanwhile of this though, this rebellion, South Sudan's rebellion is going to gain ground. As right here, they're going to meet towards, they're going to connect together, and eventually they're going to start encircling Sudan right here. Alright. Whilst also pushing up here against Sudan. Well, against South Sudan up here. Alright. Eventually after this, Sudan's going to succeed as they now capture the capital of Darfur. And eventually, they're going to make the Sudanese rebellion surrender, also as Darfur. Immediately after this, Sudan's going to move in the military into South Sudan, and over here, they're going to move their military in, officially occupying more territory to Sudan. And the Sudanese are going to, this rebellion is eventually going to reveal, as well as the plan is going to be revealed as this rebellion is working for Sudan. Alright. So eventually, once that's revealed, South Sudan is going to surrender. Alright. Eventually after this, South Sudan is going to be annexed by Sudan. So yeah, NATO's going to lose heavily as they've lost to their rebellion as it's being suppressed, and they've also lost an ally as well. Alright, a really kind of major loss for the Western Defense Order. Now, if I do call it NATO, I mean World Defense Organization, because I think I've said NATO a couple times. But if I do say NATO, I mean World Defense Organization, as I've renamed it. Immediately after that war, USA and their alliance is going to fight back against the Chinese, or counteract against China. As now over here in Southeast Asia, we've got the WDO alliance expanding as South Korea and Japan are going to be joining it. And right here, Taiwan, the Philippines, and Thailand are going to join as part states of the WDO. So the United States is basically doing this as a way of showing to China and Russia that you may have gotten Sudan and Ukraine and Syria, but we've got our ways in Southeast Asia, and this is basically a way of pressuring China a little bit after their victories in Ukraine, Syria, and Sudan. All right. Immediately after this, in Africa, another proxy conflict is going to happen, as over here in Ethiopia, a rebellion is going to pop up against them, and no one knows who funded the rebellion. All right. Before this proxy war did happen, though, proxy civil war, Kenya is going to join in as a partner state of the WDO, also known as the Western Defense Organization. And guys, let's get to the war. So immediately after this, this rebellion over here is going to fight against Ethiopia, as they're pushing the military into Ethiopia right here, and they kind of got a good front against Ethiopia right here, as they're going to move the military into Ethiopia. Now, Ethiopia's not going to let it slide, as they're going to fight back against them, pushing them back a little bit here, and eventually they're going to secure the mountains as they now fight back over here. Now, eventually over here, the United States figures out that the Russian-China's alliance has been the one who has funded this rebellion and aided them. All right. The reasoning for this has been because they want Ethiopia to be fully aligned with them. All right. Obviously, Ethiopia, they play both sides, and for the Russians and Chinese, they want Ethiopia to have full support. So with that, they're going to fund this rebellion. So with that, Ethiopia is now going to go to the West, and the West is going to accept, as the WDO says to themselves, they need to win a war. So with that, they're going to spend a lot of their money and everything by going down here into Kenya, and they're going to go up here to Ethiopia. All right, eventually after this, Ethiopia is now going to be fully supplied with Western support, or not fully, but mostly supplied with Western support. And eventually after this, they're going to have hope as now they fight back against Ethiopia. Eventually after this, Eritrea is going to join the war on the side of the rebellion. As over here, Eritrea is going to join the war on the side of the rebellion. And right here, they're going to supply support for them. Eventually also declaring war on Ethiopia. So with that, Ethiopia's going to fight back over here. Eventually splitting this rebellion into two, and they're going to push back over here, but more focusing up here as they now push against this rebellion up here. Eventually down here, they're going to push in, eventually capturing the rebellion over here. They're going to suppress it over here, and they're going to also suppress the rebellion up here in the way, and they're going to successfully suppress this rebellion. As now they move up here to Eritrea, as they're now pushing back a little bit. Eventually over here, Eritrea's capital is going to be captured. And eventually, we got the surrender of Eritrea. And the capital is going to be captured. Eventually, moving over here to Somalia. As over here, Somalia is going to be next place for a revolution. And over here, we got two rebellions popping up. We got Somaliland, which is backed by NATO. And for the Russia and China, they've basically said to all of the little rebellions in the country, or all the little groups, that if you unite into one big group, we'll aid you as much as we could. So with that, they've accepted that, and they've now become one big group united to stop Somalia. I'm over here. Al-Shabaab is another group that's going to rise. Now, they're going to rise on their own, as NATO does not back them, as NATO and the Moscow-Beijing Alliance, not NATO, Western Defense Organization, and the anti-Western bloc, they're not going to supply this rebellion at all. As over here, this rebellion is going to rise on their own. Eventually after this, Somaliland is going to focus on all of their military as they move up here and they successfully capture all of this. Okay, eventually after this though, this rebellion right here is going to move with military. It's going to move as they now capture. As they move over here and they now capture the central government of Somalia. And right here, they're going to push a little bit. They're going to push a little bit back over here against the Al-Shabaab. Now, with all that happening, over here, the United States is going to send forces through Kenya, as eventually Kenyan and Ethiopian forces are now going to push over here into Al-Shabaab. And with the help of the USA, they're going to deploy troops over here as they now move in to start suppressing Al-Shabaab. Eventually after this, they're going to move their forces up here, and whilst they get very close, this rebellion right here is going to push back, and eventually going to claim about to here what Al-Shabaab claims up here, okay? In the meantime of this as well, which actually the Al-Shabaab rebellion is going to be suppressed. And over here, we've got this, the Russian-Chinese rebellion up here is going to fight back against Somalia, as now they managed to secure, the part up here. So eventually after this, they're going to secure this whole northern part, and eventually there's going to be a stalemate between Somaliland and the Russian, the Moscow, the anti-Western Bloc rebellion. All right. And over here, the AW over here, we've got Somalia over here, which is the rebellion funded by the Russian-Chinese alliance, joining the anti-Western Bloc. And this territory over here is actually going to be controlled territory by the WDO, so the Western Defense Organization. And over here, this is going to be not really much of a puppetry territory. I thought it's going to be kind of like a border dispute between Somalia. And aside from obviously Somalia recognize it as a NATO. They do recognize it as a NATO claim, but they don't really recognize it as full sovereignty of NATO, WDO, Western Defense Organization. I don't know why we keep saying NATO. All right. We're over here to our next proxy conflict, which is going to happen over here, which we're going to see in Africa. It's going to be over here in Libya. As over here, we got a civil war. We got a war between Libya and the rebels of Cyrenaica. Now they're going to both push, back and push towards each other. But eventually, the conflicts here is actually going to be rebellions funded across both of these. As right here. We got two rebellions being funded between the Syrian rebel, and over here, this one which is funded by the Somalians, over here are going to push against Cyrenaica, and right here it's going to be they're going to push over here against Cyrenaica over here, whilst also pushing against Libya as well. Alright, it's right here, they're fighting against both of them. Alright, same thing with this one up here. So this one right up here is funded by the West, and right here. They're going to push over here against the countries. As over here, the Libyans are now going to fight over here against them. Eventually after this, they're going to push over here towards the coast. As now once they reach here, they're going to push over here with the help of NATO, of Western Defense Order forces. And right up here, they're going to nearly reach the capital of them. Eventually after this, the Russian-Chinese forces are going to bolster the rebellion to focus on Cyrenaica. Eventually after this, they're going to focus up here, as now they're going to be up here, and eventually they're going to manage to reach the coast of Cyrenaica. Eventually after this, they're going to meet over here, and they're going to take over the capital and slightly pushing back the Green Rebellion right here. As now over here, they're going to push down here towards Libya, and they're now going to make sure that they don't get much land. Okay. Eventually, with this though, the Western Defense Order forces are going to move down here. As eventually, right here, Libya and Cyrenaica are going to surrender. So we're going to call this Libyan Cyrenaica. So we're going to call this Libyan Cyrenaica, but it's actually not them. It's basically just a, this one backed by NATO or the WDO, and this one backed by the Western Defense Organization. Anti-Western Bloc for this one. So, eventually after this, we're going to go, they're all going to go to their respective sides. Alright. Over here, Tunisia is going to join in the Western Defense Order as a partner of the alliance. Alright. Our next proxy conflict is going to happen over here in Myanmar, as a bunch of rebellions are going to fund it. So we got a communist rebellion by China. We've got this rebellion up here, which is a neutralized group, and then we've got the Burman Republic funded by the Western Defense Organization. So immediately after these rebellions are funded, They're going to go at each other, at the Myanmar. As right here, the Burma Republic is going to focus over here on the coast, eventually capturing the tail part over here, Myanmar, eventually focusing on capturing the capital of Myanmar. Communist Myanmar, in the meantime, is going to focus on the forces, as now they're going to move up here, and they're going to capture a good portion of this little front up here, and eventually going to move forces down here to capture Communist Myanmar. Alright, whilst Chinland over here is going to move towards the coast, and right here, eventually after this, they're going to encircle Myanmar right over here. Alright. Eventually, Myanmar is going to be circled by all three, and eventually they're going to make their surrender as the Burma Republic captures it for anyone else. Alright, eventually after this, Myanmar is now going to be capitulated by the Burma Republic. Eventually after this, the anti-Western bloc is going to expand, as over here, they're now going to look for other nations to join in the alliance, right? That's when they're going to come over here to Africa, and they're going to see other nations here that they could maybe include in the alliance with Protestant conflicts and all that stuff, right? So eventually they're going to start recruiting allies down here as Angola, Mozambique, Cameroon, Niger, and Algeria will all join in the anti-Western bloc. Basically, the Russians said to all of them, if you join our alliance, we'll support you in any war. So with that, they're going to make their entrance. Alright. Right after this, the WDO is going to do the same thing, as they're going to recruit their own allies over here in Africa. Alright. And their allies are Morocco, Nigeria, Uganda. Right over here, Kenya is going to make a full exit from the partner program, as they now fully join in the alliance. And finally, Namibia. So you guys can see here how bad this conflict has gone. Alright, as over here, we've got as over here, we got the African continent becoming more of a hostile area with NATO forces. It is going to become even worse though, as over here in the DRC, they're going to have rebellion as Russia and China and their alliance are going to come down here. Well, actually, Russia and their alliance is going to come down here to support the rebellion of Katanga. And after this, they're going to pledge support for Katanga, not China though, which it will be a bit odd for you guys. But yeah, China's not going to join in this war. All right. So, over here, Katanga is going to be supported by Russia and their alliance, whilst the DRC is going to be backed by NATO and, Belgium mainly. Alright, so over here, Civil War is going to take place between the DRC and Katanga. And in the meantime of the Civil War, Russia is going to call a meeting in Ulaanbaatar with China, but China is suddenly not going to enter it. All right, China's government does not make an appearance at all. All right, this really bothers Russia. Right here. So over here, China is not going to appear in the thing. Now that is going to really weird out Russia, as they're wondering why China has not entered the meeting. So they're going to figure out why they're doing that, whilst pledging support for this civil war. Alright? Whilst over here in NATO, the United States is going to expand, as over here, they're going to work with some specialists in Canada. And over here, we've got the independence of Alberta right over here, right? So right here in Canada, they're going to be weirded out why Alberta declared their independence. And right over here, the independence will be declared by them. And eventually, Alberta is going to go ahead and they're going to make an entrance into the United States, as they're going to apply to the United States to join their country, and the United States is going to accept, okay? Canada is not going to like this, and they're now going to have a bit of mixed relations with the United States. Still, helping out the alliance, but also not really in favor of the United States anymore. Alright? Eventually after this, whilst all this chaos is happening, Morocco is going to take their chance as they now is now declared war in Western Sahara, and over here they're going to move forces into Western Sahara over here, capturing the capital, and eventually are going to basically make Western Sahara surrender. Alright, immediately after this they're going to annex them. Immediately after this, the United States is going to move next, as now they're going to declare war on Mauritania and eventually are going to deploy forces over here into Mauritania. Right? Eventually after this, they're going to capture the capital as they now move in with their forces to move in after Mauritania. And this is where the coffin settles for both sides. Right? As right here, Mauritania is going to surrender. And for the peace treaty right here, the United States, as over here, the United States is going to take a bit of land, mostly the coast parts, and they're going to make the rest of Mozambique into a puppet state, Mauritania into a puppet state of the. So they're going to take a bit of land from Mauritania, mostly the coast, and then they're going to take over some land off of Mauritania. Alright? Eventually after this, over here in the nation of Egypt, we got a civil war happening, as Turkey and their other allies are going to fund a rebellion over here into the nation, eventually fighting back over here against Egypt. With all this chaos happening, Russia's going to support them, whilst also declaring war on Georgia, a partner state of the WDO. And they're going to basically declare war and move in after south of Ossetia and Abkhazia. With all this chaos happening, eventually, with Russian forces moving, China is going to announce their full withdrawal from the anti-Western bloc. Alright, so immediately after all that chaos happened, with China not helping out the rebellion in DRC, not helping out rebellion in Egypt, and also not helping out Russian invasion of Georgia, and also not going to meetings, China's going to fully announced their full withdrawal from the alliance, officially announcing that they're going to become isolationist countries. Eventually after this, they're going to leave the alliance. Immediately after this chain reaction, immediately after this, a lot of countries are going to be in favor of leaving this alliance for China rather than Russia. Right? So those countries are, so Laos, Cambodia will leave the alliance. Kyrgyzstan will leave the alliance. Communist Myanmar will leave the alliance. The recent country got funded by China. Also, just so you guys know as well, the Communist Myanmar rebellion, Russia did not support that at all. Okay, it was only China. China kind of did this as well, and Russia kind of felt a bit weird by it as well because China was meant to be fully supporting the Russian Russia's meant to be as they're meant to support Myanmar. Russia's idea was that, but then China had an idea to make it a communist country. So that's kind of what happened there. All right. Pakistan will leave the partner program. Nicaragua will fully withdraw from the alliance, just making a military alliance with China. Serbia will leave the partner program. Lebanon and Palestine will leave the partner program. And Kazakhstan is going to leave the military aspect of the alliance, but they are going to join in as a partner of the anti-Western bloc. Whilst Iraq leaves the military aspects of the alliance. And finally, Syria is going to join in the partner program as they lead the military aspects of the alliance. Alright, so we also got the countries of Angola and Mozambique, who are more in support of China because of communism. So this is the current alliance of the Russian members. Now it's down to Russia, Iran, Cyrenaica, Sudan, Somalia, Belarus, and North Korea. Alright, so this is going to be very bad for Russia, as once they've finished their invasion over here into Georgia, they've now lost one of their major supporters in the alliance, as China fully withdraws from the alliance. That's kind of leading to all. I kind of did hint at it though, obviously, because again, that led events to it. Like, for example, the Myanmar's rebellion, the China not coming to meetings, all the other stuff, right? So you guys might think that NATO, the WDO will win because of it, right? But America is going to do one final thing as they now declare war on the nation of Mexico. And after the declaration of war, they're going to basically accuse Mexico of doing drugs, giving drugs to the Americans, doing cartels, and basically accuse Mexico as a supporter of China, even though China left the alliance. Alright. After this, they're going to move the military forces into Mexico, over here, as now they're going to move towards Mexico over here, and they're now looking to destroy Mexico over here, right? In the meantime, this as well, the United States is going to do some naval landings over here in Haiti and the Dominican Republic, and they're going to finish them both off, making them into pop states. Immediately after this, all of the countries over here who originally supported the United States, it's not like the United States anymore for imperialism, and they are going to leave. So that includes Spain, and some of the Baltic nations like Bulgaria, Romania, Moldova, Albania, Turkey, Greece, and Azerbaijan. Alright. Eventually after this, once it does settles and the United States takes what they want from Mexico, once they also want to land, WDO is going to ban the United States from the alliance. Okay, officially all of the nations are, well, not all the nations, but all the European nations are going to ban the United States from the alliance. So with that, the United States is going to withdraw from the alliance. And this is going to lead a chain reaction to all nations leaving. Alright, as right here in Africa, Morocco is going to leave, officially becoming a partner state of the alliance. Nigeria is going to leave. Libya is going to leave. These European nations down here are all going to leave and are going to form themselves their own European alliance. They're all going to leave and form their own alliance down here in, well, Africa. This whole enclave right here is going to be given to Somalia if they lead the military aspects of NATO. So eventually that applies. And right here, Somalia is going to revert to a partner of the alliance, of the anti-Western bloc, because actually they got their once territory. Namibia is going to fully leave the alliance. And right here, Japan's going to leave. South Korea is going to leave. Taiwan, Philippines, and Thailand will all leave the partner program of the alliance, and the Burma Republic will also leave as well. And we do have the exit of Australia and New Zealand. As over here, they're both going to become partner states. We also have the exit of Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Jordan, and Israel as they become a partner state of the alliance. And we also have the recent countries over here in Europe who did join leaving as well, as Austria is going to leave. Slovenia is going to leave the military aspects as they're going to join in as a partner. But Kosovo is going to also leave the alliance as well. Alright. So this is now the WDO and the anti-Western bloc. They've significantly weakened. Also, let's remove Sarnaga from the alliance as well. But yeah, right here, this is the now cost of this all. Alright. As events have led to it for this scenario to happen. Alright. There is also going to be some active conflicts, as over here, Balochistan is going to declare their independence from Pakistan. Yemen is going to go into a civil war as well. Over here in Azawad. And finally, Tanzania. And also, after the invasion of Georgia, the NATO countries are going to arm themselves against Russia, as all borders with Russia and their allies are going to be fully NATO-fied. Alright, aside from obviously other countries are left. And guys, that's it for today's video. If you guys enjoyed today's video, make sure you like and subscribe and hit the notification bell if you want to see any more videos on the channel. Alright guys, before we go, the reason why I focus everything on Africa is because in my mind, Africa is the most continent. Now, for obviously the East African part, obviously China's Road and Belt Initiative, that kind of took place as it expanded influence. USA wanted to stop that, so that's why they focus on here. And that's kind of why they focus on Africa, because Africa's a continent with pretty much no wars. Alright, anyways guys, been enough for this video. If you guys enjoyed, make sure you like and subscribe and hit the notification bell if you want to see any more videos on the channel. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.